ask you, and maybe we'll go in reverse order, this Web 3.0 and crypto scenario that you're talking about. How does that impact governance and governments in your mind over the next 30 years if we go down that scenario, or if that's the possibility that we realize?
The earliest thing that might happen is that we'd have a different way, we'd have new organizational forms of work. So right now, we have a couple of choices at the extreme. We have a solo individual, you and me, the freelancer, the person who's interested in 1,000 true fans, right? You're just a solo person, and you're going to work directly with your customers or whatever else, and that you can multiply it by couple to have a partnership, or maybe there's just four of you in a family business. But the thing that we invented was the corporation, was this idea of like, well, together with 100 people, you could become more efficient. You could share resources like accounting or whatever, and you would it would be more efficient with this collective collaborative work. And but there was still a kind of a centralization about it, um, because you were normally not the full owner. You're adding value, but maybe not capturing all that value you added to yourself. So the decentralization actually offers, like crypto, and this is where the DAOs come from, but it's not their only one. An alternative way to imagine having a bunch of people work together on something with a different arrangement than a company. Maybe they would all have a larger stake of ownership, maybe a larger stake in the actual decisions being made. Um, and so we could imagine, maybe hundreds of different arrangements where people are working together to make something happen, but are not organized like a company, and they're not just a family business, they're something else. And so we would need additional tools of collaboration to be able to do that, and maybe credit can flow through. So it's like if you have an idea, there was some way for the credit to flow back to you if other people used your idea, even if they didn't know who you were, or maybe again, you're not in the same company. You're just, it's like open source. Okay, so open source, and then you're working on it. And if you contribute an idea, maybe there'll be some way for that compensation to come back to you. Okay, and so that's one thing I could imagine, and one places it might start was is having a bunch of different organization structures to enable people to work and collaborate together that are not sole proprietor or a company.
Do you see the benefits of that being autonomy, fulfillment, efficiency? What exactly would the benefits there be in your mind?
Well, yes. So the benefits at different levels. There's benefits to the workers, to the people, and then there's the benefits to the system. So the I think the benefits to the worker is, I think everybody dreams of having more control of their time, more control over their, and more decisions on what they spend their time on. That's the executive function, and it's often not down in the ranks. And so I think people, that's one of the things people crave above all things, is to have control of their time. And that's considered, for me, that's the definition of wealth. Wealth is not how much money you have. Wealth is how much control over your time you have. And so uh, we can imagine structures of work and collaboration where there was more agency, there was more control over an individual's time, and yet they still would be compensated from the system as a whole for their contributions. And so I would say that there's more satisfaction possible, for individuals in networking, maybe more than they would get either on in a company or working for themselves. As a system, I think what it gets you is, ways in which we can, they sometimes call it the Hollywood model, where you have expert people assemble to accomplish something, and that may disassemble once the task is done. And if you have it's incredibly flexible and adaptable and fast. And so you would have have greater things happen more often. And it also assumes kind of a remote virtual ability in sense of rearranging very quickly around the world. And it could even happen within very large companies. One of the things that was a really stymie very large Fortune 500 companies like Amazon is that they'll have expertise within the company, but not even know that they have it, and not really be able to access it, and not be able to kind of match it up with other parts of the company. So if you had a way to make these more dynamic, fluid organizations, even within a company, it could accelerate the pace at which they get things done using these kind of new tools.